It's fashion time. What am I wearing on today's episode? These suits are from Zara and the shoes are Stuart Weitzman. I love them. They're super pretty. I love this little, stones surrounding them, bedazzled with some jewelries and styled by the one and only Krystyna Hannon. Welcome back, everybody, to yet again another episode of On Get Her Story. It's your girl Agnes, and I'd like to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to the one and only Frizi. So, with me here, I have my friend, the one and only Atef. welcome. I'm so glad you could make it on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So I feel like, we know way back a little bit because we passed each other by at castings and all of that. And then fast forward to, there was a whole viral thing happening online, which we're probably going to talk about later. And that went online, I was like, ooh, what's happening? I'd say, like, I got your back. So I just feel like I've observed that we have this thing where we always have each other's back. I've also kind of low-key be on the other end, and I just see you're just like, I got time today. I have time to clap back. So I just felt like I really appreciated that, and I was like, wow, we actually have a lot of commonalities that we can speak on, and I feel like you even know the best way, because Lord knows I do not have the patience. But you just, articulated so well, and I just wanted, the audience to get to see that side of you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So let the people know, where are you from? How did you, what's your background like, and how did you end up in Poland in the beginning?
So my name is Atef.
Yeah.
I'm 28 years old.
Great.
I'm from Tunisia.
Yes.
I'm from a small city called Gabes.
Okay.
Tunisia.
Ooh, I love South Bay, by the way. Shout out to South Bay. You guys are more fun. I'm a South girl too, but yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like to break the rules every now and then.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And I lived in Tunisia until the age of 22.
Okay.
And then when I was 22, I moved to Warsaw.
Okay. But how did that happen? You wanted to study? You knew you wanted to come to Poland? Or?
It was random. It was completely random.
Okay.
Because I came, there is a school called College of Europe in Warsaw.
Okay.
They have two campuses, one in Bruges, Belgium,
Okay.
and one in Warsaw.
College of Europe.
College.
Oh, college. Okay, because I was like, okay, the College of Europe. Okay.
College of Europe. Yeah. And I was, looking online because after my bachelor's degree, I wanted to study abroad. Okay. And I really liked the program that they offer in Warsaw, so I applied for it and I came here.
Wow.
And I didn't know if I would stay or not.
Okay.
I just came and I said I'll figure it out.
Right.
And then, with the pandemic, with many complicated reasons, I was like, Warsaw's cute. I started to have friends and, people here that I like and I love, so I'm just gonna stay here for a bit more. 5 years later, I'm still here. So that's true. So what did you exactly study in the college when you were here? So it's called the College of Europe, and it offers, it's called like advanced master's degree, and it's European studies.
Okay.
But what I studied was specifically the relation between the European Union and its neighboring countries.
Wow.
So mainly North Africa, Middle East, and Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And I did my thesis about the relations between European Union and Palestine.
Okay.
And then I finished that master's, and now I'm doing a second master's at University of Warsaw, and it's called Studies on Social Change. Okay. And it's basically it's migration studies.
Wow.
It's like a hot topic, migration now, and all over the world, but specifically in the EU, especially that we have elections today. So it's a very hot topic, and it's good to be in the center of a very hot topic, and to learn and get some knowledge.
Makes sense. How did you get about this study? Have you always been someone a part of change? What made you wanting to study this kind of course? Do you want to at some point in the future work within parliament, I don't know, all of these things surrounding politics, or you wanted to work maybe with immigrants and all this law changing stuff?
For me, it was just when I moved to Warsaw. It was September 2019.
Okay.
And it wasn't maybe the best time to be in Poland.
Right.
Because there was the presidential election.
Right.
There was this like anti-migration discourse, anti-LGBT discourse.
Right.
And I guess like and the desire to kind of understand my experience and to articulate my experience made me look for a program that can help me do that, you know, because I don't like this feeling of like helplessness where I can't articulate. So I was like, I need to study this. I'm not going to believe that propaganda or what politicians are telling me who I am and what I am. I will decide that for myself. So I decided to look for a program like that.
I love that. I love that. And speaking on people trying to identify who you are. But, you know, how do you identify yourself, or how do you want people to, you know, identify you? You know what I mean? Because usually that's the first place to start. Like, don't address me by this. I am this, and that's it. So how would you, you know, describe yourself?
When the question is like of how do you identify is asked, I feel like there's, maybe you also feel it, like when someone says like how do you identify, there's this anxiety because I feel like human beings we're in a constant state of becoming.
Right.
So when someone says who are you,
yes,
it feels like you need to stop,
right,
but you don't want to stop because you're always developing.
Right.
But I am an Arab migrant. I am a queer gay man. My pronouns are him. I think I am funny.
Yes. Oh yes, you are.
I'm ambitious.
Yes.
I can be annoying.
Yeah.
Who can't?
So I haven't noticed that yet. But okay.
But to like all joking aside, I identify as Arab queer migrant, and
I love that.
So what was it like for you growing up? You know, do you have siblings with your parents? How was that like? You know, was it always fun around in the household, or were they always like, yeah, you're the annoying sibling or whatever? How was that like growing up?
Well, I have a big family. I have 5 siblings.
Wow.
And so it was I'm the 5th child. Growing up, it was, I am not out to my family.
Right,
you know,
right.
I come from like a quite
Are they very religious, or they're just rather more conservative as a culture as opposed to religion, or it's a combination of both?
It's rather a combination of both.
Right.
They're not super religious, but I would say it's like the
culture.
Yeah, it's like it's a traditional Tunisian Muslim family, a standard family. They're not more religious than less religious.
Right. Makes sense. So coming to Poland, I would say like, you know, because we're gonna go back on your article that I actually read that you wrote, which was amazing, well written by the way. And I wanted to know, being that, you know, you identify as who you are, like how has that in itself have an impact in dating, you know, being, you know, an Arab migrant in Poland, and also, you know, does it have an impact in your queer dating life? How has that been for you?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Because, you know, dating doesn't like operate outside of our like socio-political reality.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like,
yes, we are all human beings,
That's
but
true.
when we date, you are still a queer Arab man, you are still a black migrant woman, you are still all of these things, you know? And those obviously affect the dynamic.
Of course.
The way it affects it is, for example, I always want to make sure that the person standing in front of me, they are not Islamophobic,
right,
they are not racist,
right.
You know? And the fact that we're on a date, it doesn't mean that you're not racist. I need to make sure that you're not. You know? So there are many of these things that I always want to discuss during dates.
Right.
And for some people, it can be quite intimidating.
Wow.
Because, you know, on the first date, I'm like, after the first sip of wine, I'm like, yeah, so it does affect. Also being a migrant, when I meet other migrants, I think I feel more relaxed.
Because there is this level of understanding.
Exactly.
Yes.
My ex is a migrant himself, you know, and one of the things that we clicked on is the fact that we're both migrants in Poland.
Right.
But when I go on a date with someone who is Polish, I think the dynamic is kind of different. You know?
Yeah, even though there's already because it's just like any other hetero also dating, like there's already the understanding, but it's more so the layer that is surrounding your, you know, your background, ethnicity, and then on top of that, your religion and all of those layers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. So when it comes to your article, by the way, check it out. It's online. So I'm gonna attach the link below. It's called "I'm Not Your Fetish." So I had like doctor's appointment today. So in between, I was just like reading. I was like, wow, this is stupid. Let me read it again. So I make sure And there was a lot of like clicks that I was just clicking with, because everyone, regardless of how they identify themselves sexually, they can totally relate to this. So I wanted to ask, because how did this whole article thing came about? Did someone approach you and stuff? Which, by the way, I love it. It's both in English and Polish, so check it out. How did that whole thing come about?
So it was, there is a magazine in Poland, it's called Duma magazine. Shout out to Duma.
Love it.
And they had this open call for articles.
Okay.
And I sent them an email and I said, hey, I have this experience. If you don't mind, can I write an article about it, and you can share it in your next edition?
Right.
And they were really open to that. So they were like, yeah, go ahead. And they were really friendly, because it was actually the only article that is written in English. And they translated it.
Of course.
And it was really, I felt like very, because they were like, yeah, you can have as many spaces as you want in the article and we will translate it. And it's like 6 pages.
It
my
is.
article is 3.
Yes.
And the translation is
yes,
3.
it's big.
It was, yes. I love that. And also the fact that you could back it up with other people's experiences, text message, that was really, really cool.
And actually, I have an anecdote about that.
Okay, please do.
When I was writing that article, I contacted a few of my friends who are also people of color.
Yeah.
And then I put, there's this Facebook group called Expats in Warsaw.
Okay.
And I put a Facebook status there, message saying, hello, if you are a person of color and you experienced fetishization and dating in Warsaw, please reach out to me because I'm writing an article. Most of the comments were just white people complaining about the message, and they were saying why don't you write about fetishization of white people? Basically the same comments that were under your video. And I was
one time it's not about
exactly. And it was very interesting because I knew that's going to happen, and I was like, I'm going to put the status and I am sure the comments will be defensive.
It sometimes happens as well, even with comments on Instagram. Have you noticed? They're like, yeah, guys, what would you wish women stop doing in a relationship? Or vice, and you see the opposite gender literally in the comment. Well, I think question was, did you read the comment? Let the men speak, or let the women speak. The question is directed to them. So that's really crazy that you were pointing this to people of color, and yet again, there's other people just wanting to put their 2 cents.
Of course, and they were like, well, it's not fetishization if it's a preference. We all have preferences, it's normal. Why don't you write about fetishization of white people? My boyfriend got fetishized when he went to Spain. Why don't you write about that? And I'm like,
you can write about
that, yes.
You can do it.
But this is what I'm writing about.
Exactly. You can write. I will read it. I'll send you resources if you want. But right now I'm writing about this. Is that okay? Can I have my space, please?
Exactly.
And the status ended up being deleted because the conversation got so heated that the managers deleted the post.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of people are confused fetishes with preferences. So let the people know what's the difference between these two.
So when people say a racial preference is just a preference, there is already this presumption that preferences are innate and they are not influenced whatsoever by our socio-political reality and our cultural reality. Very simple example, if people say I prefer tall men or I prefer, short women or I prefer skinny women, that is influenced by what we are being
by
told.
something.
It's not innocent. References are not innocent. We prefer tall men because that is a symbol of masculinity. Masculinity is highly praised in society. Preferred skinny women because that's what we were told is the standard of beauty. So none of the preferences are innocent. And when it's a racial preference, that is even less innocent.
Wow.
You know, because we are in a racialized society.
Right.
We are not in a post-racial society.
Right.
So whatever preference you have to a specific race that is influenced by what you think and what you expect that race to be, and that is not a preference, it becomes fetishization.
Wow.
So
can there be a good fetish versus a bad fetish? Let's say for someone saying, oh, I once, dated a black person and then I had great experience, so henceforth I'm gonna keep dating a black person. Or I had a bad experience dating someone from, another country, and obviously they generalize it as I'm never dating this race or culture moving forward. How would that be? How would you categorize that?
I think that would be a combination of two things, which is what we call the burden of representation. Because a lot of times racial minorities, especially non-white minorities, have what we call burden of representation, which is when the way people experience you, they don't experience you as Agnes, they experience you as a black woman.
Right.
So whatever you do,
it has an
black
influence.
Women have this, black women do that, but that's not how it's supposed to be.
Oh yes.
You are a black woman, but you are not only a black woman. You are a myriad of things. You are your own person. And when people say, "Oh, I dated a black guy once, and he had this and that," I'm like, yes, but he wasn't a black guy. He had his own personality.
That's true.
One of his traits was being black, but
and he just happened to have a big whatever, but doesn't mean everybody has that.
Exactly.
I get what you mean. I feel like even as a black woman, I totally can understand when I'm in a new space, in a different place that's, full of people that do not look like me, that are Caucasian. I feel this, burden or a sense of I need to carry myself in a different way. I need to, be my utmost self, because one bad slip and it's gonna affect the next black person that walks in here, because they're gonna be like, oh, the last time we saw a black person, they were acting something like this. Maybe it's her. Maybe you should be aware of blah blah blah. They automatically, it's a representation. You know what I mean? So I feel like every black people can relate to this, and
it works in both ways, because
that's true.
Even when you have a good experience, people will be like, Agnes is a great person, and then they meet another, for example, black person, they're like, oh, I love black people, you all are so fun. That sounds good, but it's also rooted in this idea that I see this person as a black person only, but it shouldn't be like that, because that's what our intuition is telling us to do, but we have to be counterintuitive. And that's what fetishization is, because fetishization seems as a compliment. Because when someone comes to you and they say, I prefer black women, because of the racism that you experience actively or implicitly, that feels like a compliment, because you're like, oh, this person is not attacking me, he actually prefers me.
Yes.
But it's not, because it's rooted in the same root as racism.
Especially the most one I get is the backhanded compliment. A lot of people have said that. Oh my goodness, you don't look too bad for a black woman. Oh wow, you speak so well for a black girl, for an African girl. And on one end, if you're not as knowledgeable and knowing what the roots are, you're like, oh, thank you. Exactly. But you're like, no, actually, there are a bunch of us that do speak correctly and everything. Or oh my goodness, you guys have beautiful houses. I was shocked for that. I was just like, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, how do you, because, try not to be rude or be, because then obviously whatever you say anyways, they say you're aggressive, you've been too aggressive, or whoa, that's not what I meant, and they try to either mansplain or whatever. What would be the right way in trying to, I don't even know, make them understand, make them see, their inner fetish or innate prejudice? I don't know, how would you make them say, look, hey, this is not the best way, this is how it makes me or people that you say this feel? How would that conversation go like?
I think in general it depends. For me personally, it depends on the proximity I have with the person.
Okay.
For me, honestly, if it's someone that I don't know,
Okay.
I'm not gonna put the effort.
Right.
But if someone that like I'm meeting
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I have potential with them,
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, hey, can I tell you something?
Right.
And like I hope it doesn't make you uncomfortable. So you say this comment, and it's actually like
it can be like this, and I explain like how and explain how I feel.
Okay.
And then from that I try to like make something maybe more abstract. So I start with my own experience, like this is how your comment made me feel.
Okay.
But this dynamic is a microcosm of what we call fetishization. And then I go bigger. And because I feel also like even right now when we talk about fetishization, it's always like it almost always leads to how can we make white people feel better or like how can we explain to white people better? And like
how can we make them feel like we're not attacking them, but we want them to see our point of view?
Exactly. And I'm like, well, I made the effort to interpret and to learn what this is. They have to make their own effort. This person, yes, I can lead you to it, but I'm not gonna make the effort for you. You know, if you want to learn, I will show you the way. If you don't want to learn, I'm gonna force you because it's exhausting. You know?
Right. Wow, that's great. And you know, in your dating experience, has there been any changes? Has there actually been people that are like, you know what? Oh wow, it's actually made me realize this? Because so far, anyways, my experience in Poland, I still feel like people act like they hear you, but they don't really understand you. They just okay, you know, because they first of all defend but they don't get they don't really get to say, okay, I understand, like this is how it makes you feel. They rather try to compare it to, I don't know, maybe the Holocaust or everything, and I'm like, there's anti-Semitism and Semitism like on its own, there's racism on its own, and yes, it would be great, because that's also why I'm living in this country, that you will be able to understand, because you guys have been also at one point oppressed. So it'll be easy to get the similarity of, oh, I can see how that can make you feel, but don't try to say, oh, they're the same thing. So we also are on the other stick, because I'm like, I'm not doing, like, my race was not doing this too, you know. So yeah, that is a very it's a very big conversation that I feel like it's gonna take time. And I mean, I don't know, I feel like I've been seeing some changes. They're very micro, they're not really big, but hopefully at some point it will get better. Like, what do you think, like over the years since 2019 till now, has there been any, like, do you see it going somewhere potential?
Definitely, and I think it's because for like a few reasons, because Poland is becoming more and more diverse. There are more and more people coming to Warsaw, specifically to Poland generally, to study, to work. So I think people are, they are seeing more diversity, and diversity pushes conversation.
Right.
That's on one hand. On the second hand, also with the border crisis, with the border situation that is happening in Belarus and Poland, that is also pushing conversations about like Poland being a racist country towards people of Middle Eastern descent, Poland being anti-migration, like where does Poland stand, and all of this, European racial dynamics. So it's there are some political factors that are pushing the conversation. And even though the conversation can be quite messy sometimes, and it goes to like this whataboutism, like what about us? What about me? What about us Polish people being the victim? Like there is a lot of this whataboutism. But at least the conversation is happening, and that's already a step forward.
That's true. Wow, just, before we move on to one, I wanted to read some really, I don't even know, disturbing comments or something from your article, where someone said, black and gay, you have to choose one of them, meaning you can't be both. Obviously, that's what they're trying to say. Oh, I know it's not correct, but I am only interested in colored slave boys. Like, who writes that? Like, what? You know, when I was reading that, I was like, whoa, I never even knew there were some stuff associated to Arabic people as, oh, I want you to chain me and I want to be your donkey.
Yeah.
What?
It's crazy.
I was like, that's messed up. That's messed up, guys. So I just feel like, guys, you guys need to watch what you say, and even at some point, if you do not know if it's right, try to ask, is this okay to say? Is this politically correct? And if it's not, apologize and fix your way and move on. Obviously, that's the only way we can learn to change is make mistakes, and you know, because I know also some people are really scared. Like I know some Polish people, they don't know what to say. They're like, can you call that tanned girl? And I'm like, no, it's okay, you can say black girl. I'm a black girl, it's fine, you know? So I think sometimes they don't know, but if you don't know and you're being corrected, just have the, you know, openness to be able to accept the criticism and just move on in the right way. Like we're not, it's okay.
We're all learning.
Yeah, we're all learning.
I'm
Exactly.
learning, you're learning, everyone's
I'm learning as well. Yes, I remembered I was with my girls in UK, and you know, we're all black girls, and which is so funny because two of them were activists, but one of them was making some comment and made some voice, I guess trying to imitate Asians, and the other girl checked her, which I was like, are you for real? You know, because I didn't even notice in that moment, but the fact that the other girl, I was like, girl, no, don't do that now, like that's, you know, and she was like, oh, and she, you know, she took a step, she was like, oh yeah, my bad, actually, yeah, I did not even know why I did that, but actually thanks for, you know, and we just kept it pushing, and I was like, that's amazing. And I feel like, you know, even if you have friends of colors, learn with each other, and we're all learning, and you know, check your friends when they're wrong, or you know, and that's it, and that's life basically.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So in order to, you know, to end this podcast, like what do you still aim to achieve in life? Is there any goals you set for yourself, moving on and things like that?
That's a very good question.
Oh, you're still becoming, just like Michelle
Yeah.
Obama's
To be happy.
I mean, as cliche as it sounds, it's also a good one to be happy. Like happiness is a process. Yeah. Are there any mottos you live by? You know.
Mottos, I think, is my motto in life is hold on to each other, because for me community is important. Don't let the neoliberal capitalist system make you believe that you are on your own in this world. You need people, people need you. We are nothing without community, and community is nothing without you.
Oh wow.
So for me, my main motto is love, let yourself be loved. And what we are is pieces of puzzles that we get from our friends, and we also give pieces of puzzles to our friends. So I think community is very, very important. So hold on to each other. That's always my motto.
Hold on to each other, guys. Community. I love that. I love that. Well, I feel like enough has been said, and if you guys have any more questions to Atef, we're gonna put his handles in the comments. You know, in this video, you're gonna see it already here, and you can just follow him, DM him. If you have any question, go straight to the source, because you are very political, and I'm here for it. Okay. Well, let's toast to that, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you once again. It's your girl Agnesita, and on that note, signing out. Bye.
Thank you to the sponsor of today's episode, Frizi Drink. You can catch them on Instagram to find out where they are available and where you can get them.